Okay, you booked the trip, the deposit is paid, and now you're starting to spiral. Do I need MagicBands? When do I book dining? Are we gonna do Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique? What if I miss something? Today, I'm walking you through what actually needs to be done between the deposit day and checkout day, and what you can stop stressing about now. Hey, I'm Kinsey, a Disney loving mama and travel agent who helps families tailor their vacations to fit their budget, pace, and personalities. Okay, before we even get started into what actually needs to be done, the first thing that really needs to be done for you, if you're like, what if I miss something? We're spending money on this trip. I want to make sure we do everything. You're in need of a little bit of a mindset shift. Because, spoiler alert, you're not going to be able to do everything. Disney World is 4 theme parks, it's 2 water parks, it's Disney Springs, it's 20 plus resorts, and across those resorts are different restaurants, there's different experiences. There's just not enough time. Even if you have the most perfect weather, the most perfect plan, you cannot do everything. And so you need to just get that out of your mind to start. Even if you go for 6 to 7 park days, you're not gonna get everything done. It doesn't matter. I have been to Disney multiple times and I have not done everything, okay? And there's people that have been to Disney way more than me and they have not done everything. There is just way too much to do. You're not gonna get it done. One way to shift your mindset is remember that this vacation is about you and your family. So it's not about what your neighbor says that the best dining is, or the mom of another girl on your daughter's volleyball team says that you have to do this ride, or you have to meet this character, or your Facebook group makes this recommendation. Remember that if it doesn't sound like something that's important to you, just because someone says you must do it, if it's not important to you, it's not a must do for you. So it is about you and your family and what is a must do or what you can't miss for your family specifically. Are your kiddos into princesses? Are they super obsessed with Mickey right now? Are they into Winnie the Pooh? Are they super into thrill rides? Even though there are multiple rides with no height requirement, is your little one scared of dark rides? Like, all of that comes into play, and whatever makes the most sense for you is how you are going to get the most magic and do everything that is important to you and your family. And one thing that I like to tag onto that, and one tip here is, I always like to say, tell yourself that you are coming back. Even if you aren't, it really helps. Like, if you have it in your head, okay, we're gonna come back at some point, we can do this at a later time. Even if that's in your head, that takes a lot of stress off of your shoulders. And if you never come back, you never go back. But at least in the time, you can enjoy your time there more, knowing that you're going to come back and you have another opportunity to potentially do other things. But overall, the biggest thing to remember is that you can't do everything, and your everything should be what is important to your family, and focus on that in order to get the most magic out of your vacation. So now that we've got that mindset shift out of the way, we're going to dive into what actually needs to be done between putting the deposit down and your check-in day. The first thing we're going to touch on is going to be super quick, but you do need to decide, are you going to get MagicBands, or are you just going to use your phone or use the app to scan in? Basically, how are you going to access your tickets and get into the park? Because with a MagicBand, it is nice that one, it gets you like, it takes care of everything. So it is your park ticket, it is your hotel key. You can even add a card on there and pay with it. If you have Memory Maker, like the Photo Pass option, you can scan that to get your photos. You can scan it to get and access your lightning lanes, which we'll talk about here in a second. So it is nice to have the convenience of it being right on your wrist. You don't have to dig your phone out every time. And then another pro to a MagicBand is if you do plan on going to Disney World again, maybe taking another Disney vacation like Disneyland or Disney Cruise, etc., that can be used. The MagicBand Plus can be used across the Disney vacations. So it's not like you're gonna spend the money on it and then never use it again. If you plan on doing some sort of Disney vacation down the road, just hold on to that and you can use it again. Personally, my family, we like to do the MagicBands. I've had the same one for like multiple trips now. So has my husband doesn't even have a MagicBand Plus. He's using the old MagicBands from like our very first trip still, just because he has it, he doesn't care to get a new one, and he keeps using it. So I do think it's super convenient. And then with kiddos, it does add the extra magic and fun of one, being able to choose the magic band that they want, whether that be a specific color, whether that be characters with a specific design. And then also the magic of getting them in the mail. If you order them ahead of time and they arrive before your trip, it just kind of adds to that pre-trip excitement. That being said, magic bands are not a necessity. You can access your tickets and even scan into your hotel resort room using your phone through My Disney Experience app. So deciding, are you going to purchase magic bands ahead of time, or are you going to just go about using your phone, using your app, because you're gonna have to be on it anyways. The next thing that you want to look at is the Enchanting Extras. So Disney actually has a lot of options when it comes to Enchanting Extras. It's basically extra magical experiences. And these are booked around the same time as dining, which we'll talk about dining in a second, so 60 days out. So depending on how far you book, if you're booking way far in advance, it's just something to start thinking about. That way, when that time comes around, you know what you want to potentially take advantage of. One of the most popular Enchanting Extras is Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, Princess Makeover. A lot of people do that. We are actually going to do that for the first time here in August with my two girls. So there's that one. There's even Star Wars ones like Build a Lightsaber. That's another super popular one at Savvy's Workshop. You can build a droid at Droid Depot. And then there's even like tours, like behind the scene tours of Living with the Land. Or I know I've had clients actually do the Caring for Giants, and it's like a tour behind like the elephants at Animal Kingdom. So there are some unique experiences, and some of them are honestly pretty inexpensive. So that's just something to consider if you want to add a little something extra special to the trip specifically. The next one to consider that is also 60 days out is those dining reservations. Are you going to do any character dining? Do you want to sit down a lot as far as going to a dining spot that has a lot of dining reservations? If you haven't really considered a dining plan, but you've already got your deposit down, maybe still consider a dining plan if you want to have more of that all-inclusive feel or a budget for a lot of your food up front. A dining plan could be an option that you want to add onto your package. But whether you're doing a dining plan or not, if that makes sense for your family or it doesn't, you do want to consider dining reservations, because not all dining locations, like there's multiple locations at Disney that if you don't plan ahead and try to make a reservation, you're probably not going to get it. And there's probably, there's honestly a couple places that are super popular, and you may not even get that trying to get the dining 60 days out, depending on your plan, your strategy on how you go about booking that. I will say that I, again, am a travel agent specializing in Disney vacations. So I do help my clients navigate how they want to go about their dining reservations based off of what they want, based off of the parks they're going to, in order to set them up for the most success when it comes to snagging the ones they really want. And I will even get on early and make those reservations for them so they don't have to worry about that as well. But as far as the dining reservations themselves, you need to consider, do you want to make any reservations, character breakfasts, anything like that? And what are your top priorities when it comes to that? One suggestion or one thing to think about that I will say is we personally like to, I know it's kind of a like touchy subject, or like not touchy, but controversial topic, is should you do character dining or should you not? We personally like to do it because the characters come to your table. We don't have to wait in line. We're getting a meal out of the way, especially if you're going in the summer, you get a break from the heat. That being said, we don't like to do a lot of character dining or a lot of sit-down reservations because you have to sort of plan your day around it. And when you're at Disney, it's so much easier to go with the flow. Like even if you have a top 5 going into your day, or a rough plan or a rough timeline of your day, it's so much easier to be flexible if you don't have a specific reservation that you have to be there at 5:15 for, or whatever the case is. So I definitely would suggest looking at a couple, but maybe not filling your trip up with a bunch of dining reservations. The next thing you want to consider are your transportation options when it comes to getting from the airport to Disney, or maybe you're road tripping. Props to you. You don't need to figure that out. You have a car, so you're good to go. But if you are flying to Walt Disney World, you do need to consider how are you going to get from MCO to your Disney resort. And there are multiple options when it comes to this. Again, this is something that I help my clients navigate, and I even help them get their transportation decisions booked and secured so they have that ready when they show up to MCO. But there's Mears Connect, which is more of like a shuttle shared service. So if you're not paying for the direct, basically the cheapest option there is you're getting on a shuttle with multiple other people. Typically they stop at 3 to 4 resorts, so you may be the first one, you may be the last one, and then it's kind of the same thing when you go back to the airport. You might be the first one picked up, you might be the last one picked up. One con here is they do pick you up like super early, which is good because MCO gets busy, but sometimes I feel like it's excessively early. So if you have an early flight out, you might be meeting the Mears shuttle at like 4 a.m. or something crazy like that. That being said, it is one of the more budget-friendly options. So we've done it before. We've actually had pretty good experiences. This past summer, I booked it for my summit, so just me, and it was probably the longest I've had so far in my worst experience. I ended up sharing a lift to go back to MCO and canceling my Mears instead. But that's all to say, our experiences before that, multiple experiences, have been great. So it's kind of up in the air as far as what's most important to you when it comes to that. If budget is most important and getting spending the least amount of money on that transportation, Mears could be a very good option for you. And then there's other ones like Away We Go that has 11 passenger vans. It's more private transportation. We did that whenever we went with my parents and my sister. Super great experience with that one. Loved having the private, and they have like car seats for you. And there's other transportations like MCO to Disney, and that's more private transportation. And then you can also request car seats, so you're not having to lug car seats to Disney if you're not wanting to do that. So there is a lot to consider here, or of course, you can always just go with an Uber or Lyft as well. My husband and I did that on our last trip, and we had a good experience doing that. So I've personally done multiple options. I help my clients consider all of their options. The biggest thing is deciding what is the most important to you when it comes to that transportation, and making sure that you have something covered for your arrival day so you don't forget about that and then you're at the airport like, how are we getting to our resort? Next thing you want to consider is if you are traveling with littles. And when I say littles, I'm saying consider this for like 9 and under, 8 and under. What is your stroller plan? And you might think that I'm crazy, like I'm going with my 8-year-old. I don't need a stroller plan. My 8-year-old doesn't use a stroller. But remember, your 8-year-old does not walk as much as they are going to walk at Disney on a daily basis. My niece is 8 now, and when we went as a full family when she was 6, and then when she was closer to 7 and went with her parents, they did the in-park stroller rental. So just while they were in the park, they did the Disney stroller rental, and she used it like the whole time. She even fell asleep in it. It is something to consider. Your kiddos, that Disney tired is going to hit them. So something to consider what you're going to do about that. Are you going to take your own? Are you, like I just mentioned, going to rent one from the parks and just use like the park strollers potentially? What we have done multiple times, and I plan to do again this summer, is rent from a third-party company like Kingdom Strollers. We have loved our experience with Kingdom Strollers. I'll actually leave my link below for their site, but they have different options when it comes to the strollers, i.e. a single, a double. We've done the City Mini Double Wide or something like that. Don't quote me on that, but it's something like that. It's a double stroller, and it's very easy to fold up. You can choose if you want it to come with like a stroller caddy and or a stroller rain cover, which I love because then I don't have to pack a stroller caddy or a stroller rain cover because I can just choose that as an option to add into that rental. I think one of them is an add-on and one of them is no cost. Don't quote me on that, and I don't remember which is which. But again, I will leave my link below so you can check out what options they have, but we have loved our experience with them. And there's multiple other companies out there that have this option. So what do you want to do about your stroller? Definitely something that you need to think about if you are traveling with kiddos. The next thing to consider is lightning lanes. So Disney currently has Lightning Lane Multipass and Lightning Lane Single Pass. Multi-pass is the one that you're thinking more along the lines of lightning lanes, or if you previously did their Genie Plus system, Fast Pass, that's the most similar because that's where you're gonna make your multiple selections. So I'm not gonna dive into how to make those selections or how to go about that. I plan on making a whole nother video breaking that down, and then I do have a video of where I planned for our Disney trip. I filmed myself doing the whole lightning lane options for our Epcot day, so you can check that out if you're interested to see kind of how that works. But you need to consider, are you going to use lightning lane? Are you going to use it for one day? Are you going to use it for your whole trip? Are you going to do any single passes? Because there are some rides that aren't included in the multi-pass because they're more popular, so you have to do a single pass if you want a lightning lane for them. So thinking about the budget for that, planning ahead, and then knowing when your selection days are. So if you're staying on property at a Disney resort, you can make those lightning lane purchases and selections 7 days before your check-in day. If you're staying off-site or anywhere else, you can do that 3 days before your check-in day or first day at the park. Planning ahead of time, having your selections set, and making sure that you are budgeting around that, if that's something that you want to do, is definitely something that you want to look into. I personally always would suggest trying to work this into your budget, especially if you're traveling with littles. Just saving as much line time as you can. I'm all about it. If I can cut a line down anywhere, I'm going to do it, especially with my girls. Like if it was just me and some of my friends, or just me and my husband, I mean, I would be a little bit more willing to wait in a line because I'm an adult. But if I'm with my kiddos, I'm trying to save as much time as possible, cut down their wait time as much as possible, and budgeting for lightning lane is just super worth it to us. And then the last thing I wanted to touch on in this section is something that we touched about back in my part 1 video. If you didn't watch it, that is all about what to take care of and what to consider when choosing the resort. Basically everything that needs to be done before the deposit is down on your vacation package. So kind of a part 1 preface to this, but we touched on that one, park days versus rest days. So again, this is something that you want to heavily consider. Yes, the deposit is down, but maybe you want to shift days around. Maybe you want to extend a day so you can have a rest day. Consider, when are you going to what parks? Where can you fit in breaks, like midday breaks? Get done early for the evening and get to bed early one night. I don't know, but trust me, with littles, you want to build in some breaks somewhere. You are already going to be go, go, go. And it is more, I know some people are like, oh, I want to get my money's worth. That honestly used to be me until I started taking my kids more and like experiencing the burnout of that. Because really you bite yourself if you're trying to get your money's worth in the parks, because they get cranky. You can't actually get things done because they are so tired, or they fall asleep in the stroller when you're in line for something and then you miss an experience. Like, planning in those breaks is actually more beneficial than just trying to plow through your days because you want to get the most out of your money. So highly consider park days versus rest days, or if you're not doing rest days, where are you going to build in some breaks for your trip? The next thing that I want to touch on is basically what you shouldn't be stressing over. I know I have seen and been in those like Facebook groups specifically where you just see suggestions coming out of left field and you're like, I don't even know where to start. I don't even know what is actually important. So we're going to talk about what to not stress over and maybe some advice you shouldn't take or you should kind of research for yourself. One, matching outfits or even new outfits. Okay, if you have matching outfits for a reason, like it's a special occasion or whatever, that is obviously one thing, and by all means do that. Like we've even bought like birthday girl ears or whatever when we've been in the parks. Things like that, obviously go all out, do that. But you don't need to match. You don't even need to buy new clothes for every single day of your trip. Have I done that before? Yeah. Have I also done trips where I use hand-me-downs or things my girls already had, or a mix of both, buying a couple new outfits, using a couple outfits we already have? Yes. Do not stress about what you're going to wear too much or what your littles are going to wear, unless that's something that is important to you, but it's not important to making your trip magical. The next thing is having the perfect dining schedule. So we've kind of already touched about this. I would suggest not having dining, especially sit down reservation dining, because it can actually just throw off your day a little bit. And in reality, the perfect dining schedule to me is what gets you the most done anywhere else, or what's actually important to you. Like maybe you don't even want to have an actual meal because you want to try all the Mickey snacks, the Mickey ice cream bar, the Mickey pretzel, whatever. You're on vacation, okay? So you don't need some perfect dining schedule or a sit-down restaurant every day to have a good time. Next, you don't need to worry about riding every single headliner or popular ride. Again, we are ride people, we are roller coaster people. That is something that we love to do, but there's even some rides that we don't want to get on. We don't prioritize that are like Disney World essentials, i.e. Jungle Cruise. I've done that one time and I have no desire to wait in line or you waste a lightning lane on that again. Peter Pan's Flight. I'll do it because my girls like Peter Pan or whatever, but like I'm never gonna wait even 45 minutes for that ride because I don't know. We don't need to get into that. But you do not have to ride a ride just because it's popular, just because somebody tells you to, just because it's something that you have to do. If you or your kiddos do not care about it, or they don't like roller coasters or whatever, there is something else for you to do that you will enjoy more than just doing something because it's a quote unquote must do. So something to think about. Another thing that you don't need to stress over is being in the park open to close. Again, we just talked about this with breaks. Have I done days where I'm in the park open to close? Yes, there are a lot. And you are going to get your money's worth more if you rest a little bit and can actually enjoy your time in the park than if you just try to grind it out and go from rope drop to park close. And then the last thing that you don't need to stress over is doing every single parade or every single fireworks show. I know one question I get a lot from my clients is what fireworks are actually worth watching, or what nighttime shows should we actually do. And I'll make personal suggestions based off of what they like, if they like fireworks, if they want more of a show, what they're willing to do. But I definitely don't say you need to do every single one, because it's a lot to stay for every single night show, like stay that late, especially if you're going with kids, even if you did take a break. Or even if you don't want to watch them from the park, like if you want to watch Epcot fireworks from the boardwalk, or you want to stay in a Magic Kingdom area resort and watch the fireworks from your balcony or the Polynesian beach or one of the restaurants over there, whatever the case might be, you don't need to shut the park down for every show, and you don't need to stress about that. I understand being stressed to want to get your money's worth, but you're paying too much money to go there and have a stressful time versus a more magical time. So keep that in the back of your head and focus on what is important to you and your family. The last thing that I want to touch on is how I can help you. As I mentioned, I am a travel agent specializing in Disney vacations. And as I've tied into some of these points, I assist my clients with every little thing that we just touched on and more. So I have a quick guide to character dining. You get access to Magic Made Simple, which is like a step-by-step planning course based off of where you're at in the process to remind you like what is coming up, what you need to think about. I send reminder emails, i.e. when your reservation window's coming close, make those reservations, make personalized suggestions that are based to you, your family, your kiddos. So just know that if you are feeling overwhelmed, I help my clients with all of this, and my services are totally included in the Disney vacation package. Disney builds that in, so it's no extra cost to you, which is great because you can get the most out of your magic and the most out of what you're paying for. So that being said, if you're interested in working with me, I will drop my planning link below so we can get started planning your magical vacation. If this was helpful, make sure to give it a thumbs up, comment below if you have any questions, and then be sure to subscribe to get more Disney tips. I'll actually drop the link to the part 1 of this below, so you have that. And then I have all sorts of different trips coming up in 2026. So be sure to follow along and see how I plan for that, how I pack for that, some vlogs as to how we do things in real time, and just keep the magic going for you. Until next time, keep chasing the moments that make your family's magic. Bye.